Okay, it's 11 in the morning. Thank you everyone for being here. My name is Carolina Cole-Glazier, and I am the program manager for the Oklahoma Rehabilitation Council. The council is happy to host this webinar together with the Department of Rehabilitation Services. And the subject, the topic that we want to discuss today is called Careers in Demand. And this is to showcase the sectors in Oklahoma that are coming up with employment for DRS clients and people around the state. Our speakers today are Sharon Harrison and Taylor Rhodes. They are both part of the employment committee at the Oklahoma Rehabilitation Council, and we are happy to have them here. Sharon is originally from Northern Ireland, has over 20 years of experience in Oklahoma, specializing in training, development, and consulting across various industries, including manufacturing. As a founder and president of Harrison Consulting, she leads workforce strategies for Oklahoma Manufacturing Alliance, focusing on employer-driven solutions, workforce research, grant applications, and program implementation. And as I mentioned before, we have Taylor Rhodes. Taylor is a healthcare leader specializing in cardiology, healthcare administration, and diversity initiatives. As Mercy's Director of Neuroscience Service Line and Diversity Officer, he oversees multiple divisions, promotes inclusivity, expands employment programs, and mentors future leaders regarding while remaining deeply committed to healthcare excellence and community engagement. And with that, I'll leave you with your presenters today. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much, Carolina. And I'd like to thank the Oklahoma Rehabilitation Council. Yes, Taylor and I both serve in the Business and Industry Committee. We also have to give a big thank to Yasmin Avila and all of her team with Business and Industry Division. We see our goal on our committee to be a support to that part of Department of Rehabilitation Services as they serve manufacturers around the state. I'd also like to thank AbleTech. They have done all the technology, all of the marketing behind today, and we appreciate that, and also making sure that we were ADA compliant and accessible. So we have our interpreters here and our captioning. If you have any questions about accessibility, please pass those along and we'll make sure that we get those addressed. Why this topic? Well, a couple of years ago we did this. We looked at what industries were out there in Oklahoma, who's hiring, really to help the counselors in DRS as they're talking to clients. We had a lot of feedback from that, and they have asked us to put on this session again. I want you to think about when you were 18 or 19. For some of you, that's a little bit closer in years than others. But think about that and think about when you were 18, 19, what you wanted to be. I'll tell you, actually, I wanted to be an actress. So you may say, okay, I can understand that, but I was very involved in high school in drama and acting. So I really wanted to be an actress. Now, today, if I look at my life many years later, those hopes and dreams I had changed. And when we think of the clients that you're serving, they will come into your office, maybe 18, 19, or in other ages, and have a dream of something that they want to do in life. Many others don't even know what opportunities are out there for them. And that's what we hope to do today, is share with you some of the industries that we know are growing within our state, some of the occupations that align, we call those critical occupations. And then Taylor and I were each going to take different industries And then we're also going to look at the different populations that are out there with a focus on Gen Z and giving you a little bit of update on them and their characteristics within the workforce. So we also wanted to point out, anytime you want to ask a question, just pop it into the Q&A. And we are here to answer those questions. We do not mind stopping throughout the session because this is for you, and we want it to be as fulfilling an hour of your time. So the first industry we're going to look at is aerospace and defense. Aerospace and defense is really a bedrock industry in Oklahoma. It has been around, has a deep history, and employs so many different people. There are over 120,000 civilian workers in 2022, and that keeps growing within our state. It is an area that our governor and the state and commerce really focus on growing as well, and are doing an amazing job with that. Really, if we look at that industry, what is it? It includes manufacturers, maintenance, repair, and operations, which we call MROs. And then organizations that represent government and private entities. You'll see that in some of these industries, when we list them, we have manufacturing underneath. And the reason that I do that is that manufacturing, which is the main industry that I spend a lot of my time in, is really what we call a foundational industry for so many other sectors. And when we look at those occupations, and as we travel around the state, what we hear is we don't have enough machinists. That is CNC machinists or machine operators can also go within that classification. We need more mechanics and service technicians. People to service the machinery. This is a very specialized job within our state. We do see that a lot of people here may be coming out of the military and staying in the state, have a lot of good experience in that area and are really good to transition into those occupations. There also is a need for, on the finance side for manufacturing, for auditors and also for analysts. As manufacturing grows and changes and adapts to technology, and the same with aerospace and defense, we need people with those analytical minds that can really help the industry adapt to that. Today, Taylor and I, we have prepared some career pathways for you. I'm going to share one for machinists. We do have others. If anyone is ever interested in them, please feel free to reach out to us. We will show our emails again at the end of the session. I'm going to just feature one for manufacturing. And the reason we want to really talk about career pathways is that, again, when you're talking to that individual that's wanting to look at a new career, is that their entry point in that occupation they start off is just the beginning of a journey of a great career. And this is important of a way that you can talk to them about that occupation. So if we look at a CNC machinist, that is in the middle here. If we look to the left, you'll see on this flow chart that the entry points very often are assembler, production technician, and material handler. Those occupations are what we consider entry-level occupations and do not necessarily need any certification. They would then proceed to a machine operator and then become a CNC machinist. In our state, we have great systems and great programs of training for CNC machinists. Then you proceed through, they can progress in their career, doing CNC programmer, a machine team lead, and then on to management, or often they may then go on and pursue a degree and become a manufacturing engineer or a frontline supervisor. This is just an example to show you again, when you're talking to an individual that we may say we have a critical need for CNC machinists, that can be the entry point, and then they can have a career if they choose to go beyond that. The next industry that we're going to talk about is agriculture and biosciences. Has been obviously around in Oklahoma That was our seed industry with the agricultural revolution. And it's the large industry is crop production. We expect to see a growth in medical diagnostic laboratories. We've all seen a growth in beer and ale merchants over especially the last 5 years around our state. Also, the state has a big focus on the pharmaceutical and medicine manufacturing that we hope to see in years to come. With those, again, is laborers, heavy tractor trailer truck drivers, operations managers, and lab technicians. Some of our colleges I know have pivoted quite a bit to have programs for lab technicians to fulfill that need. The next one is the energy sector. The energy sector has been quite stable within our state, but we know that as of a lot of executive orders and movement within our government, that we are going to see a big resurgence in this area and a real critical need for people to go back into the energy sector. With that, some of the key areas are laborers again, heavy tractor trailer truck drivers, operations managers, machinists, analysts, auditors, and the list can go on. We really see that, again, you see I have listed manufacturing. When energy and oil and gas production begins and expands within our state, we have a bedrock of manufacturers who produce components for that industry within our state, nationally and globally, who will be beefing up their recruitments and hiring again in many of those critical occupations. The next one we have is our transportation and distribution. That is something, again, we all heard whenever, we do want to talk about it, but I will, COVID hit, that transportation and distribution were some of the hot occupations. There is still not as much a need, but the need is there. That is generalized and specialized warehousing, storage, general freight, and trucking. Oklahoma, especially for some of you who are located in the northeast part of our state, there is a huge need, because when we talk about transportation and distribution, we're really talking about in 5 areas. Oklahoma is very unique and positioned for these, because not only do we have roads, we have rail, we have air transportation, but we have water. Yeah, I'm not from Oklahoma. When I came here, I was surprised that a landlocked state has ports. So, which is exciting for the growth in those areas and the occupations that are needed, not only for the energy companies and the manufacturers that are located in those hubs, but as a way to transport goods. And then fifthly, Oklahoma has pipelines. That is one of our major forms of distribution for gas and oil in the whole United States, and it converges in Oklahoma. The next one that we're going to look at, and I'm going to hand it over to Taylor, is information and financial services.
So as it pertains to the information and financial services sector, it just remains a cornerstone of Oklahoma's economic growth for 2025. And with especially a strong emphasis on the innovation and digital transformation that we're seeing in all types of markets. This sector spans management to accounting, to payroll services, and even portfolio management, with some critical roles, including software developers, financial analysts, auditors, and IT specialists. Specifically, some recent trends have started to highlight the increasing importance of what's called fintech, also known as financial technology. Because this is important because companies are starting to integrate AI-driven solutions, blockchain, and other mobile payment systems to really enhance efficient and customer experience. So with that, Oklahoma firms are investing in data analysts and predictive modeling to make more informed financial decisions, which is creating a demand in professional skilled in big data and business intelligence tools such as Tableau and Power BI. Another aspect of this sector is cybersecurity, which has emerged as a top priority due to the rise in sophisticated cyber threats. So organizations are really focusing on robust systems to safeguard sensitive financial data. So again, driving the need for cybersecurity experts and training programs tailored to those roles. And so workforce development efforts in 2025 have emphasized bridging skill gaps through technical training and certifications in emerging technologies. This includes initiatives to support professionals and even early entry-level positions in adopting cloud-based financial systems, automated reporting tools, and advanced coding language, which is going to be a part of the skill set that's needed for this sector. Oklahoma is fostering partnerships with educational institutions to create pipelines for this talent to ensure that these high demand areas can meet the evolving needs of this dynamic sector. And we'll go to our next topic, which is going to be construction. So again, construction is continuing to expand in Oklahoma in 2025, which is encompassing residential housing, commercial developments, industrial facilities, and critical infrastructure projects such as roads, bridges, and utilities. With the rising urbanization and federal investments in infrastructure, the demand for skilled professionals, including laborers, civil engineers, project managers, and building inspectors, has surged as well. Some of the recent trends in this sector emphasize sustainable building practices such as energy efficient designs, the use of renewable materials as environmental standards and green certifications become a lot more prevalent. Advanced engineering techniques, including modular construction and even 3D printing, are gaining traction in this sector, which is enabling faster and more cost-effective project completion. And then also, safety just remains a top priority for this sector, with workforce training programs increasingly focused on compliance with updated OSHA regulations, risk management, and the use of wearable technology to monitor safety on job sites. So digital tools such as building information modeling and drone technology is a part of this workforce planning and execution, which requires new technical skills within the workforce. And again, as Oklahoma's fostering partnerships between construction firms and trade schools, offering apprenticeships and certifications that align with the industry's evolving needs. These efforts really do ensure workforce is equipped to handle the increasing capacity and scale of projects. The next one being healthcare. So this is my passion, and definitely when I can know that we do have a high demand in. With Oklahoma's healthcare sector continuing to evolve, we are trying to address the diverse needs across direct patient care, dental, optical, and social services. There continues to be an increasing demand for quality care, and so key roles such as radiology technologists, physicians, surgeons, dental hygienists, social workers, optometrists, nurses, counselors remain vital to the community's well-being. Some recent trends in this focus on telemedicine and virtual care, enabling broader access to healthcare services. Nurses and allied health professionals are being trained to integrate digital health technologies into this. And really, there's now been a high demand for behavioral health professionals, including counselors and social workers, significantly due to the rising mental health awareness and the lasting effects of the pandemic that we're still seeing today. Some workforce development initiatives, if we can go to the next slide, are pretty much prioritizing career pathways and upskilling programs which are ensuring healthcare professionals can advance into specialized roles. So some of these partnerships are with educational institutions and even healthcare organizations are creating pipelines to meet the workforce shortage. And so what you're seeing here is some healthcare vocations pathways, which represents diverse care pathways within the healthcare vocations. So starting from an entry-level role like medical coders, diagnostic medical sonographers, and licensed practical nurses, individuals can progress to specialized positions like physician assistants, certified nurse anesthetists, and nurse practitioners. Each pathway emphasizes both education and skill development, such as advancing from an associate degree in nursing to a bachelor's degree in nursing, and even eventually becoming a nurse midwife or an advanced practitioner. So some of these really do highlight opportunities for growth within the healthcare industry, supporting both workforce development and also addressing the critical healthcare needs of today and tomorrow. The next one we're going to be discussing is education. So first, the classroom setting is evolving with greater focus on personalized learning. Schools are increasingly embracing diverse teaching methods to meet the varying needs of students. Auxiliary staff roles are becoming more crucial. The demand for these teaching assistants and mental health professionals is on the rise. Individuals provide essential support in managing classrooms and ensuring the well-being of our students in Oklahoma. Security services are also getting more attention. Schools are working very closely with local law enforcement to enhance the safety on campus, ensuring that students and staff are protected. So security personnel are now more present to respond proactively to any threats. And then with administrative roles, leadership is key. Educational administrators are taking on more responsibility, ensuring smooth operations while focusing on student success. Their work is the foundation in maintaining a positive learning environment for our students. So also talk about some of the critical occupations in education. Roles like child, family, and school social workers are crucial as, again, they support the students' mental health and personal challenges. Teachers, of course, to continue to be at the core of education, especially those with expertise in special education or even in key subjects. Counselors, again, are essential for guiding students through their academic and career choices. And then again, education administrators oversee day-to-day operations. Firefighters are integral to safety and preparedness, while police and sheriff patrol officers play a vital role in ensuring security and fostering positive relationships with the students. So education in 2025 is focusing on meeting these diverse student needs, maintaining safety, and ensuring strong leadership for the years to come. The next one is going to be creative industries. So let's start with advertising. In 2025, advertising continues to adapt to changing consumer behaviors. The focus is creating more personalized and engaging campaigns where storytelling, authenticity are becoming increasingly important in connecting with their audiences. Visual arts, are seeing an expansion of opportunities. Our artists are finding new ways to showcase their work through both traditional and even digital platforms. Esports has now experienced a remarkable growth, with competitive gaming now a mainstream form of entertainment. So teams, organizations, and events are booming and attracting significant investment and offering opportunities for players, coaches, and business professionals alike. And then lastly, cultural education continues to play a vital role in preserving heritage in the state of Oklahoma while promoting innovation. So museums, theaters, and educational programs are focusing on engaging younger generations, understanding and appreciating cultural traditions.
Well, thank you, Taylor. We do want to point out that these are not exhaustive industries.
So what does it mean to be a skilled talent? So first, many manufacturers can't fill entry-level production associate positions. So these are the jobs that do require technical know-how or industry knowledge, such as team assemblers, production work helpers, and handheld tool cutters and trimmers. And then higher skills need to navigate technology and digital needs. So despite influx of more than 2.7 million industrial robots in the use of worldwide, including fixed robotic arms, moving cobots, autonomous guided vehicles, moving materials, and finished goods, humans are still needed to help produce the vast majority of goods the industry makes worldwide. Throughout the executive interviews conducted during this year's study, a resounding distress signal kept repeating itself. And then high level, the introduction of automation and other advanced technology impacts the level at which see a growth and decline in middle level skills. This is our state of manufacturing.
Okay, if I could just point out with that, I've done some research on this. So we look at, as you're talking to individuals with the entry level skills, what we see that employers are looking for is people that basically can turn up to work and have a willingness to work and a desire to learn. And then that they have some entry technical skills. A lot of employers within a lot of these different industries that we shared, they can train individuals. They just need people. If we look today and you even do a search in Indeed, I know for manufacturing alone within our state, there are about 20,000 open positions. Many of those are entry level. And then we move on to those mid-level skills and those mid-level jobs. Is that yes, they need the technical aspects of the job. There's more of an increased emphasis on employability and human capabilities. But now we have an introduction of digital skills, that they are able to navigate the digital landscape, that they can work with Excel, they can work with data, they can make informed decisions from that data. And then we move on, and what we're really seeing is that at the higher level positions and the management positions and beyond, is that digital skills are what is important. That ability to look at the connected work environment, be it in healthcare, manufacturing, logistics, everything is connected, and with the growth and the impact of AI, being able to understand that and how it impacts the business operations. And then technical and employability, human capabilities. So we have seen a shift. We are going to see an increased shift. And this means that when you're also talking to people, they need to have that attitude, as we all do, of being that lifelong learner. Change is inevitable in today's workforce with the impact of data and the impact of technology. So we need to be ready to adapt. Moving on from the skills, we just wanted to give you an overview of the US labor force and how it's composed by generations. This is, if we look at the different generations, you have Gen Z, Gen Y, we also have our Gen X, baby boomers, and silent. Now, I'm not going to get you to share which group you fall into, but I would imagine we have a very good representation and maybe even also have some of our silent generation. Let me tell you a little bit about those generations. The Gen Z are really anyone who's born 1990 to 2010, 2011. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail on Gen Z because they really are the growing group within the workforce and the group that really is the ones you're going to focus on for a lot of your recruitment and that you are servicing. The Gen Y is 1981 to 1990s. And I will just point out different researchers have these at different years, and it's not an exact science. Gen X is 1965 to 1989. The baby boomers is 1946 to 1964-65. We have had the mass exodus. But we are also seeing, and you may even see this within your clients, people returning from this age group. They've found that life is expensive, retirement is expensive, and many of them are returning to the workforce, even on a part-time basis. The silent generation, or called the traditionalists, are 1945 to 1925. And then hot off the press for 2025, any of those babies that have been born so far and going through for the next 15 years is going to be Generation Beta. You see the Greek theme here, alpha, beta. And so that is the generation that will be entering the workforce in about 15 to 18 years. So Gen Zs, why do we see that as really important? Well, they are a growing part of the workforce with their own goals and skills. In fact, on my team, one of the largest proportions of my population are Gen Zs that I employ. They are anyone born between 1996 and the mid 2000s, often referred to as the iGens. In the Oklahoma population, they represent 20.92% of our population. They have very much an inclusive mindset. They are very hard workers and they're very persistent. And I'm going to hand it over to Taylor to tell you a little bit more about that generation.
I wasn't too sure if she gave me these slides because I am closer to this generation, but I appreciate Sharon. So with the Gen Z and youth employment, as we look to 2025, there's been a significant shift in just youth employment diversity. Since the 2000s, there have been about a 50% increase in the multicultural youth workforce, making the Gen Z the most racially and ethnically diverse generation in history. So that shift is bringing a variety of perspectives into the workplace. And Gen Z is contributing new ideas and a more global mindset. So as a result, workplace inclusion is more important than ever. Gen Z values authenticity and is driving companies to ensure that employees have equal opportunities and are respected. They expect workplaces that support collaboration and provide room for everyone to thrive in, with leadership that reflects a broad range of experiences. Gen Z also tends to embrace critical questioning, innovation, service, and continuous improvement. They're not afraid to challenge the status quo and are often looking for ways to improve existing systems and processes. This mindset is really essential for driving change in industries and creating better and more efficient ways of doing things. And then lastly, I just want to say that the global awareness. Many members of the Gen Z are actively involved in social injustice. Having grown up in a post 9/11 world, they're really trying to align their work with their values, and they're considering the broader impact of their careers and seeking opportunities in organizations that contribute positively to society. And then the next slide we can go into is pretty much going to show you the most important for Gen Z in the next 10 years. So as we look ahead in the next decade, it's clear that Gen Z has specific priorities that will shape personal and professional journeys. So one significant trend is that 72% of Gen Z plans to start their own business. This generation is highly entrepreneurial, and they are motivated by the desire to create something of their own, whether it's a product, service, or even an idea. So this entrepreneurial drive is often fueled by their exposure to online resources and a very DIY, which is do-it-yourself culture, which encourages self-sufficiency and problem solving. So Gen Z's value independence, flexibility, and the ability to forge their own path in a way that aligns with their passions and skills. And alongside entrepreneurship, 32% of Gen Zs list finding their dream job as their top goal. So this generation is not looking just for any job. They want roles that are meaningful, fulfilling, and aligned with their own personal values. For many, their dream job is one that allows them to contribute to causes they care about, work in a positive work environment, and have opportunities for continuous growth and development. They are driven by a sense of purpose and want to feel as if they're making a difference in the world. So looking at these two trends, it's evident that Gen Z is focused on achieving success through both self-driven entrepreneurship and meaningful employment. So over the next 10 years, we can expect to see a generation that not only builds businesses and innovations, but also reshapes traditional work structures to align with their need for purpose, independence, and impact.
Thank you, Taylor. Now, I may have to throw out, why do you think you're closer to Gen Z than me? Sorry, couldn't resist that one.
No, you're good.
Yeah, we are going to open this up to any questions, but I did want to just point out the reason that we want to talk, mention the Gen Zs is that very often also, and you may hear this from your clients because we hear this from industry, is that a lot of those other generations that have come before Gen Z very often will complain. I hear complaints all the time about Gen Zs and millennials. And what I try to talk to industry about is, well, you're trying to get them to change to you. What about you trying to change to them? And it's very often about listening and coming to that common ground within the workforce. As Taylor said, another conversation that we have is that industry needs to look at their work organization. We are very traditional in our outlook and structure of the workday, which has worked very well for industry. But if we look at Gen Zs, it may not work well for them. And it may be time to listen to them more and to see and learn about that work balance. So let me just open it up. Does anyone have any questions?
And while we're waiting for those questions, I would like to just add that, kind of speaking of what you're saying, Ms. Sharon, was, Gen Z's daily life, its technology and social media is essential to that Gen Z's daily life. And so we have to think about the Gen Z's and how those platforms shape how they find work and engage with employers. So Gen Z's highly value remote work options. So again, going back to your workforce structure, they also like flexible schedules. So companies that are offering these types of roles are more likely to attract talent from this generation. And then one thing I failed to mention was their career priorities are evolving. They're placing a high value on work-life balance and mental health. So they're seeking roles that allow them to have a meaningful impact beyond just earning your standard paycheck. Companies that offer a strong sense of purpose, flexibility, are going to have the edge in attracting this talent. And so those are the key things that we need to be looking at from a workforce structure, from a company structure, of how you're integrating that into for this population.
Well, we haven't got any questions. I do want, just as a wrap up, to point out, if you do not already get, please email. We'll follow up with Carolina's email and Yasmin's email, and we will make sure that you get invites to the coming up career fair with Department of Rehabilitation Services in March, and also the Facts and Snacks events that run and the impact meetings throughout the year. So if you're not part of the DRS system and would like to be on those mailing lists, do not hesitate to get in touch with us. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Taylor, as well, and Carolina for coordinating all of this. And have a great week.